Stop everything you are doing right now. I am about to reveal the crushing psychological truth of modern existence, why 99% of people will die, having never truly lived a single authentic day of their own life. If you are consuming this content late at night, wrestling with the heavy weight of regret and questioning every choice you've ever made, understand that this next 30 minutes is the most critical strategic period of your entire existence. Picture this chilling reality. The person you see every morning, your colleague, your neighbor, perhaps even your reflection, is tragically living someone else's predetermined dream, while their own ambition slowly dies under the pressure of expectation. You wake up to an alarm clock set by a superior. You operate daily, following rules meticulously written by external forces. Every night you go to bed with the profound, sinking knowledge that you've wasted another 24 hours being the predictable commodity others expect you to be. But here is the devastating liberation. What if I told you there is a 500-year-old secret that the most powerful figures in history used to systematically break free from this invisible prison of conformity? What if the absolute key to your personal freedom was hidden in the darkest corners of strategic thought, meticulously documented by a man so dangerous that his name became synonymous with ruthless, necessary power itself? Niccolo Machiavelli did not write The Prince as a guide for climbing corporate ladders. He wrote it to show you precisely how to seize your own throne in a world structurally designed to keep you kneeling. In the minutes ahead, you will discover the brutal, strategic cost of conformity and why it is actively killing your potential. You will learn how the act of standing completely alone can transform you into an unstoppable force. Most importantly, you will be armed with the exact blueprint to construct a life so unapologetically authentic and strategically effective that others will be compelled to beg for the privilege of following your lead. Machiavelli set the ultimate standard for self-sovereignty. The chief foundations of all states are good laws and good arms, and you cannot have good laws where you do not have good arms. Applied to you, this means your internal state requires both the law, your strategic plan, and the arms, your personal strength, to enforce it. I warn you, once you absorb the strategic implications of this lesson, you can never retreat. You will never look at your life, your dependencies, or your conformity the same way again. Are you ready to truly wake up from the matrix? Now, drop this affirmation in the comments and solidify your commitment. I choose my path. My life is my command. Number 1. Destroying the myth of conformity. Let us begin with an uncomfortable, self-shattering truth. From the moment you drew your first breath, society has been surgically molding you into its preferred, predictable shape. You were handed the script: go to school, get specific grades, secure a stable job, marry, buy the asset, raise the children, wait for retirement, and then quietly expire. You were told this mandatory sequence is the path to happiness. But here is the critical strategic failure they intentionally omit. This script was never designed for your fulfillment. It was designed exclusively for their comfort and control. Analyze your typical day. How many of your decisions are actually sovereign acts of will? The time you wake up is dictated by your employer. The clothing you wear is influenced by rigid social expectations. Even the food you consume is shaped by advertising and peer pressure. The modern world has created the perfect illusion of choice, 1,000 different brands of the same product, while systematically eliminating actual choice. You are given identical structures and told you are free, when the fundamental reality of your life remains identical to everyone else's. The architecture of conditioning. This psychological conditioning is structural and runs deeper than you think. Your education system was not designed to foster sovereignty. It taught you to sit in rows, seek permission before speaking, and follow instructions without question. Your workplace ruthlessly reinforces these learned patterns with mandatory schedules, rigid codes, and performance reviews that measure compliance far more often than genuine creativity. Your social circles act as the final defense, enforcing conformity through gossip about those who dare to be different, subtle pressure to fit in, and rewards only for predictability. The predictable result? A generation of individuals so proficient at being what others want them to be, that they have lost all genuine contact with who they truly are underneath the conditioning. Machiavelli provided the anchor for strategic awareness. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. But the essential question is, what if your goal is not to be surrounded by predictable servants, but to trust the sovereign authority of your own mind? The reality is, most people are paralyzed by the fear of standing alone. They would choose to be wrong with the safety of the crowd rather than be right by themselves, isolated from social approval. This fear of isolation keeps millions psychologically trapped in lives they never chose. The cost of the conventional path, the career trap. Consider the career you currently inhabit. Did you choose it because it genuinely ignited your soul, or because it promised safety, or because it guaranteed the approval of your parents? The conventional path promises security but delivers spiritual mediocrity. The consumption trap. Look at your routines. Do you check social media the moment you wake up because you genuinely want to, or because everyone else's dopamine systems demand your attention? Do you consume the same media and buy the same products as your peer group? When was the last time you made a choice that was entirely, uncompromisingly your own? The relational trap. How many individuals settle for partners who merely meet society's simplistic checklist, wealth, stability, status, rather than someone who truly understands their deepest ambition? These relationships are maintained out of quiet obligation, forcing you to perform rather than be authentic. The conventional path promises happiness but delivers numbness. It promises meaning but delivers emptiness. The profound tragedy is that most people never realize they are trapped. They waste their entire lives trying to optimize someone else's game, constantly chasing more money or a better location, instead of strategically executing their own. True sovereign fulfillment exists exclusively outside these predefined boundaries, in the space between external expectation and what you know to be true about yourself. It requires the fierce courage to disappoint people who never truly knew the real you anyway. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose my path. My life is my command. Number 2. Leveraging self-reliance in a connected world. Here is where most men compromise their potential. They mistakenly believe that choosing their own path mandates becoming a hermit or aggressively burning bridges with everyone. That is not strategic independence. That is merely self-imposed isolation. The true power move is mastering the art of being completely self-reliant while still engaging meaningfully and powerfully with others. This is not about rejecting genuine connection. It is about approaching all interactions from an unassailable position of strength rather than perpetual need. When you successfully cultivate true self-reliance, a profound psychological transformation occurs in your relationships. You instantly stop seeking validation and pivot to offering undeniable value. You cease striving to fit in and become the force that naturally stands out. You abandon the follower mentality and seize the role of the leader. The self-reliant stance in confrontation. To understand this power, picture a high-level business meeting where everyone is nodding along to a fatally flawed idea. The traditional, dependent approach is to either speak up and risk being labeled difficult, or stay silent to maintain fragile harmony. Both choices make you reactive to the group's fear. The self-reliant approach is different. You have already executed your own independent analysis. When you speak, it is not born from insecurity or a desperate need to be heard, but from genuine expertise and absolute conviction. This level of independent thinking commands immediate respect in a way that following the crowd never could. The components of sovereign thinking, self-reliance, manifests through specific disciplines. It means having your own intelligence sources instead of outsourcing your thinking to the consensus. It demands developing your own criteria for decision-making instead of relying on external judgment. It means establishing your own definition of success instead of chasing metrics that are irrelevant to your soul. Fundamentally, self-reliance means being financially independent enough to walk away from situations that compromise your values, emotionally stable enough that you do not require constant reassurance, and intellectually curious enough to form your own informed opinions. Machiavelli observed the power of visible independence. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. When you operate from genuine self-knowledge and independent thinking, the few who truly matter instantly recognize your authenticity, while the many who don't matter will simply respect your unbending strength. The paradox of leadership and leverage. Strategic independence actually enhances collaboration because you bring a unique, non-conforming perspective to the table. When everyone thinks alike, no one thinks critically. But when you have developed your own clear viewpoint, you become valuable precisely because you are different. This is the paradox of true leadership. The more comfortable you become standing alone, the more people want to follow you. The more you trust your own judgment, the more others trust your judgment. In negotiations, this principle is pure gold. When you genuinely don't need the deal, you secure better terms. When you are not desperate for approval, people are motivated to grant it to you. When you are unequivocally prepared to walk away, others become willing to meet your terms. The self-reliant person doesn't network, they attract. They don't chase opportunities. Opportunities pursue them. They don't sell themselves. Their results speak for themselves. Their value is self-evident. This transformation requires consistently choosing your own disciplined judgment over fleeting popular opinion. It requires short-term discomfort for long-term self-sovereignty. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I attract alignment. My strength is self-contained. Number 3. The calculated risk. Let's dismantle the illusion of safety. Most people dedicate their entire lives to meticulously avoiding risk. But here is the critical strategic truth. The greatest risk you will ever face is taking no risks at all. Every meaningful achievement, every human breakthrough, and every transformative moment of progress originated from someone willing to deliberately venture into uncertain territory. They chose the unknown possibility over the comfortable, predictable inertia. The distinction between reckless gambling and calculated risk-taking is crucial. Reckless individuals jump without data, motivated by impulse. The calculated strategist, however, meticulously studies the landscape, prepares for multiple adverse scenarios, and then executes an informed decision based on their own sovereign analysis. The generalized fear of risk is actually the fear of responsibility. When you play it safe, you retain the convenient excuse to blame external circumstances for your dissatisfaction. When you take risks, you become the sole author of the outcomes, good or bad. Most men would tragically rather be victims of circumstance than the masters of their own story. Machiavelli understood that influence is tied to perceived strength and competence. Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved. This mandate is not about cruelty. It is about cultivating respect for your competence and decisiveness rather than being liked for your agreeable compliance. When you take calculated risks, the outcomes, even the ones that fail, provide invaluable data and propel you forward. Every failure becomes data. Every setback becomes the precise setup for a calculated comeback. Every mistake becomes an education you cannot acquire any other way. The false comfort of safety. Consider the worst-case scenario if you pursued your true ambition instead of retreating to safety. Seriously analyze the actual cost. Most often, the true worst-case scenario, failure, is not nearly as terrifying as the slow, crushing death of living a life unchosen. Now, analyze the cost of not taking the risk. You will inevitably reach the end of your life having never discovered what you were truly capable of. You will have played it so safe that you never actually lived. You will die with your greatest work still unexpressed. Let's face the reality of common fears. Fear of financial ruin. You are already financially trapped in a system that doesn't reward your true value. Risk offers the only exit. Fear of social rejection. You are already surrounded by people who don't truly know or appreciate the authentic you. Risk offers the chance to attract people who do. Fear of failure. You are already failing to live up to your own potential. Risk offers the dignity of fighting for a meaningful result. The Machiavellian principle of anticipating obstacles is not about pessimism. It is about strategic preparation. When you've meticulously thought through the potential challenges and prepared contingencies, you move forward with genuine confidence, not paralyzing fear. This requires a clear framework for calculated conquest. First, define the prize. Clearly define what you want to achieve, and more importantly, why it matters, because this clarity will sustain you through inevitable challenges, as vague dreams only lead to vague results. Second, quantify the abyss. Identify the specific risks involved and their likelihood, writing down your worst-case scenario to honestly assess how probable it is, since most fears are based on imagination, not evidence. Third, develop contingencies. Create robust Plan B, Plan C, and Plan D, understanding that having backup plans doesn't signal expected failure, but rather signals preparedness to adapt, which substantially increases the probability of overall success. Fourth, build momentum through scale. You don't need to bet your entire existence on one massive risk. Instead, start with smaller, calculated risks that build your confidence and competence over time, as each success creates the necessary capacity for bigger risks later. Fifth, establish milestones. Set a clear timeline and success metrics, defining when you will know if the strategy is working and when you will reassess. Because clear milestones prevent you from quitting too early or persisting too long with a failing approach. Finally, execute. Analysis without immediate action is merely procrastination in disguise, so remember that perfect information never exists and perfect timing never arrives, meaning you must transition from planning to doing. The objective is not to eliminate risk, it is to take smarter, leveraged risks. The person who never faces uncertainty never discovers what they are truly capable of achieving. Risk is not your enemy. Mediocrity is. Uncertainty is not your problem. Complacency is. The known limitations of your current life are what should terrify you. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I embrace uncertainty. I choose action over anecdote. Number 4. Charting your uncharted course to sovereignty. Now we arrive at the most critical stage, the actual creation of your own sovereign path. This is not about the reckless rejection of everything society offers. It is about consciously and strategically choosing what serves your authentic vision and ruthlessly discarding what does not. The first, most painful step demands brutal honesty about what you actually want, not what you have been conditioned to believe you should want. You must surgically strip away the expectations, the judgments, the fear, and the deeply ingrained programming. Ask yourself, without the self-censorship of fear, What would you relentlessly pursue if success was guaranteed? What would you commit to if nobody was observing? What is the one thing that genuinely makes you feel most alive and potent? This process of self-discovery is profoundly challenging because most of us have been conditioned to ignore our authentic desires for so long that we have forgotten what they even sound like. You may need to revisit past experiences, perhaps even childhood memories, to reconnect with the activities that genuinely excited you before the world imposed the mandate to be realistic. This is not a one-time exercise. Your authentic vision is a dynamic entity that must be constantly refined as you grow and learn. The strategic key is to stay irrevocably connected to your inner compass while remaining flexible about the specific route. Machiavelli's timeless advice demands dual competency. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. To forge a path entirely your own, you require both the cunning intelligence of the fox to navigate and avoid psychological and strategic traps, and the bold, uncompromising courage of the lion to face down threats and seize territory. The comprehensive roadmap to self-sovereignty. Your comprehensive roadmap begins with a personal audit. What aspects of your current life, your job, your routine, your relationships genuinely align with your authentic vision? Conversely, what aspects are you maintaining purely out of habit, paralyzing fear, or external pressure? Be ruthlessly honest. You cannot navigate toward your destination if you deceive yourself about your current position. Analyze your daily schedule. How much time is spent on activities that genuinely energize you versus those that systematically drain your reserves? How much of your mental energy is dedicated to things you genuinely care about versus things you feel obligated to care about? Which of your relationships add measurable value to your trajectory versus those that subtract essential resources? Next, you must identify your unique strategic combination of strengths, interests, and values. What can you execute with greater efficacy than most people? What subjects or activities hold your attention and energy? What principles are so non-negotiable that you are willing to make sacrifices to defend them? Your customized path must ruthlessly leverage these elements. Your strengths encompass more than just technical skills. They include your personality traits, your way of thinking, and your natural talents. Your interests are not just passive hobbies. They are the subjects that capture your focus. Your values are not abstract concepts. They are the operational principles you are willing to sacrifice for. Then you must begin making small, consistent, undeniable moves toward this vision. You do not need to dissolve your current life tomorrow. Start with daily micro-actions that align with your authentic direction. This might be as simple as dedicating 30 minutes each morning to a project that genuinely matters to your soul, or as complex as launching a side business to test a new market. The key is consistency over intensity. Small daily actions compound over time into massive, irreversible results. One focused page written each day becomes a book in a year. One measured business experiment each month creates deep expertise. One truly authentic conversation each week forges a network of powerful, genuine relationships. The internal metrics of victory. You must create your own success metrics. Society will relentlessly preach that success looks like high net worth, external status, or public recognition. You must define what success means to you with crystalline clarity, so you will know with certainty when you are genuinely winning. Your success metrics might include freedom measures, how much sovereign control you have over your time and critical decisions. They might include impact measures, the tangible, positive difference you are creating in the world. They might include fulfillment measures, how frequently you feel energized versus drained by your chosen activities. Furthermore, build your own feedback loops. Instead of relying on the conditional approval of others, develop internal methods to measure your progress against your own stringent standards. This keeps you focused on what truly matters to your path, rather than what is currently popular or conventional. Prepare for resistance. When you begin charting a sovereign course, some people will inevitably fail to understand. They will question your choices, predict your failure, or attempt to convince you to return to the safe, predictable path. This is a predictable, normal reaction. Their discomfort with your independence is merely a reflection of their own self-imposed, trapped situation. This resistance might come from family members who want you to follow their outdated definition of success, from friends who feel threatened by your rapid growth, or from colleagues who preferred the predictable version of you. Remember that their opinions are based on their limitations, not your potential. Develop an ironclad support system of people who understand and encourage your authentic path. You may need to find new mentors, join dedicated communities, or forge connections with like-minded individuals who share your commitment to authentic strategic living. Remember, this is an ongoing process of adaptation and learning. Your path will twist and turn in ways you cannot predict. The objective isn't to have everything meticulously figured out. It is to remain fundamentally true to your authentic vision while staying strategically flexible about how you achieve it. Most importantly, trust your instincts. You possess access to internal information about yourself that nobody else in the world possesses. Your deepest desires, your hidden capabilities, your unique perspective. Use this knowledge as your ultimate intelligence source. Your instincts are the strategic accumulation of all your life experiences, observations, and insights. They are your subconscious mind processing information faster than your conscious mind can analyze it. When something feels fundamentally right or wrong, pay attention to that visceral feeling. It is often more accurate than any external logical analysis. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I trust myself. My instincts are my intelligence. We have exposed the myth of conformity and how it severely limits your potential. We've explored how strategic independence enhances your relationships and opportunities. We've dissected the power of calculated risk-taking and how even inevitable failures must propel you forward. And we've provided a comprehensive framework for charting your own unique, sovereign course. But here is the final, non-negotiable truth. Information without action is worthless. You can watch every video and read every book, but until you actually start walking your own path, nothing changes. The world requires the unique force you have to offer. It needs your perspective, your talent, your unique vision. But it will never receive these gifts if you continue trying to be someone else. Your throne is not waiting for you in some distant, imagined future. It exists the moment you decide to claim it, the moment you choose your own path over the well-trodden trail, the moment you trust yourself more than you trust the comfort of the crowd. The question is not whether you are capable of forging your own path. You absolutely are. The question is whether you are willing to begin. Are you willing to disappoint those who need you to stay small, to honor the magnificent self you are meant to be? Are you willing to face the necessary uncertainty to fully discover your potential? Are you willing to stand alone if necessary to live authentically? Start today. Start now. Take one small defiant action that moves you toward your authentic vision. Send that email. Make that difficult call. Write that first page. Have that challenging conversation. Make that investment in yourself. Your future sovereign self is waiting for you to begin. Drop this final affirmation in the comments. My time is now. I claim my throne.